What's going on, everybody? Andrew Wright here, Cody Johnson, Drew Coat Sports Talk. We're now going to be diving into the NBA playoffs. We're going to be talking about the Thunder losing in the first round to the Utah Jazz. So stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the Thunder losing in the first round. People are blaming Paul George, but some people are also blaming Russell Westbrook. So, Andrew, who are you blaming?
Well, I would say, first of all, them losing their last game was both of them faults. It was Russell Westbrook's fault, and it was also Paul George. Paul George could not hit water if he fell out of a boat, whatever cliche you want to plug into there. He couldn't do it. He was not able to make the shots. I love Paul George. I think he's a good player. What we saw in Game 1 is what I wanted to see the Thunder do. They ran the offense through Paul George in Game 1, and he was taking advantage of it. Russell Westbrook was kind of the second guy who, hey, you kind of had to watch out for. Then all of a sudden in Game 2 and the rest of the series, they ran through with Russell Westbrook. Westbrook, I love Westbrook, but the issue with him is he is, for lack of a better term, a ball hogger. He is. He has to have the ball in his hands. I know everyone wants to look at, the triple-doubles he puts up all the time, the assists. He doesn't throw the ball unless it's going to be an assist. Now you can say, hey, well, that's points. The thing is if it's not going to be an assist, he won't make the extra pass. He won't make a pass to get a better shot. He's going to pass it if he's going to benefit from it. I don't like that in a player. It's not going to win you games. Now, I heard a great argument that if you give, let's say, for example, you see LeBron James has Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver it's not a great basketball player, but he's a great shooter. And if you have a guy like that with Russell Westbrook, that would help. Klay Thompson is another great example for the Warriors. He's not the best player, but he's a good defender, and he's a guy who can shoot the ball like that. And if you have a guy like that with Westbrook, that fits. When you have a guy like Paul George or Carmelo Anthony who are used to having the ball and Russell Westbrook wanting to have the ball as well, you're coming into some trouble. And so I feel like overall, them losing to the Utah Jazz was Russell Westbrook's fault. The last game was definitely both of theirs. More, I would say, Paul George. And the other issue is Westbrook throws up shots that he hasn't made all night. And that's a huge thing. You're missing a ton of shots. You're throwing turnovers like crazy. I understand what he feels. He feels like he has to put the team on his back. But in reality, he can't. He needs help, and he won't admit it.
I'm definitely not going to squash that argument at all. I do believe that Westbrook can be a ball hog at times. I mean, the previous 2 games, he had less than 8 assists per game, considering he averaged a triple-double for the second year in a row. So if you're going to do that, it means you get a lot of assists. However you get them, you get them. But, I think it also comes down to Paul George. We can probably just say this. Paul George maybe tried to do everything he could on his standpoint, and he couldn't, you're right, he couldn't hit a shot in the final game, which was very pivotal. And so for the last 2 games, he shot it poorly. I mean, and Westbrook did the same thing. He had to jack it up a lot to get all the points he did, and really the volume wasn't there if you break down how many points he scored or what he shot. So not there. But there's also a third player that we are not mentioning right now who was also a big free agent ad, which was Carmelo Anthony. I mean, you're going to laugh, but this is a small forward that can play borderline 4 to 3. He could probably get you a good 20 to 25 minutes, get you some double digits, and he's a good one-on-one player. He's not a great defender, but he can shoot the 3, he can get down low. And where was he? Played all of a handful of minutes in the final game. I think he had maybe 6, 8 points tops. If you're going to have 3 superstars and 2 are contributing, you need to have that third one. Even LeBron James right now, who he was the only player to score more than 20 points in the first round. Now he still has Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, and a couple other guys that are now that are contributing. Westbrook and Paul George didn't get that with Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is a former All-Star, multiple-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Really? So my opinion is I would put a lot of blame on Melo. Where was he at? Now, was this a coach's decision to not put him in? But why wasn't Melo making his presence felt? Why couldn't he accept a different role? I mean, Westbrook, for all intents and purposes, may have played a different game. Maybe he got more assists if he saw Carmelo was getting his shot. Maybe it would have helped Paul George relieve some of that pressure so his shooting can get underway. Because, I saw the last couple of three-pointers that Paul George put up, all contested. So you mean to tell me that Carmelo Anthony couldn't get an open shot, a mid-range shot, get it down low to where there's an open three-pointer? I think that Melo needs a lot of this blame too, because for as good as a player he is and what they did to bring him over, he sure didn't deliver in the playoffs. And he's been there before, more than Westbrook and more than Paul George.
I mean, I think if you're bringing up the argument that of this season is a complete failure, then you could put Melo up there. But what we've seen all year from Carmelo is it's not the Melo that we saw with the hoodie.
Right.
and it's not the Melo that we saw in Denver. It's not the Melo that we saw with the New York Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Melo, the guy that's getting really old really quickly, and I would be surprised if the Thunder wanted to keep him on that roster. I would not be surprised if the Thunder buy him out and say
should,
because Melo is not who he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it sucks, and they needed him more than ever. But when you at least have two superstars, who Russell Westbrook is definitely in his prime,
mm-hmm.
Paul George probably a little past his prime, but still a really great player.
Mm-hmm.
And you still can't win against the Utah Jazz where Joe Ingles is lighting you up,
right.
An undrafted guy. Ricky Rubio was dominating in a game and he got injured. I mean, he got injured and then they still beat them. I mean, it's insane. This team should have been way better. And my issue is they're trying to, and I hear a lot of former NBA players who are saying it's the coaching that very well that may be the case there.
Mm-hmm.
But my issue is what I saw on the court. They should have went through George, especially after Game 1. The way he was playing, they should have kept that going.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was working.
Right.
So you can blame it on the coaches, but we've seen it time and time again now. Westbrook does not play well with others who are also superstars. He has to have just role players, and that's what he needs, and I think that's what the Thunder need to focus on. Quit trying to sign Paul George this year. Let him go. Mm-hmm. Get role players that will work with Westbrook, that will help this team, and you will actually be successful.
See, I think this is where we may part ways a little bit, because I do believe you need a second superstar. Now, granted, how good that superstar is completely going to be that different argument, because we're looking at a league right now that you look at teams such as like the Pelicans. They have AD, Drew Holiday, Rondo, and if Cousins was healthy, that would be a really good team, which they still are now. Golden State, look at all the shooters they have. Cleveland even has two superstars, and look how pity they are. In this day and age, in this league where it's volume shooting, and you definitely need more than just Westbrook. Yeah, he drugged them into the playoffs last year, got bounced in the first round also, but you definitely need some players. So even if Paul George does resign, I think that would be a really good decision considering he's young, he can shoot, he can run with the floor. Carmelo Anthony, I would say you can let him go, let that money go, find a way to get out of the contract. Whatever you can do, don't bring back Melo. You need to get younger and you need to get more athletic. Melo's not doing it for you if he's not going to take a bench role, for sure. But I definitely think that Westbrook has a lot of blame because he can be a ball hog, but he does need a sidekick or someone to run alongside with him, to help balance it out. Even though he needs to learn that as well, I definitely still thinks he needs the help. You can't just do role players with only him. So. All right, guys, well, we appreciate you watching this video. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what you think of the Thunder. Who do you think is responsible for losing? Also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Drew Coat Sports Talk, and we will see you in the next video.
Models popping bottles.